My name is Jeff Morgan. I am from Dallas, Texas. I want to talk very briefly about an issue here of no-fault divorce and parental equality. And this has come up a few times recently. One of the leaders in Texas of the Americans for Parental Equality said to me, are you for 50-50 equal shared parenting? And my response was, no, I'm for 100-100 equal shared parenting. In other words, the best thing for children growing up, and this has been proven in study after study, is for a child to be in an intact home with his or her natural mother and father, two-parent household, mother and father. So how do you reconcile this idea of parental equality and no-fault divorce? Number one, parental equality does not only take place after a divorce. Parental equality must take place before a divorce is granted or before it's filed or anything like that. In the state of Texas, we have in the Texas Family Code 6.001 the statute for insupportability. And on the petition of either spouse, the judge may grant a divorce based on insupportability, that the marriage is irretrievable and will not meet its desired ends. Now, no proof is necessary for this. All you need is one allegation. So if one person makes the assertion, that person will always win 100% of the time. There are no exceptions. The person who files for the divorce gets a divorce. The person who is the respondent who says, well, I don't believe that our marriage is insupportable, I don't believe that it's irreconcilable, that person will always lose 100% of the time. And this is very easy to prove, because if you can show me 5 cases in the last 10, 15, 20 years, for example, in which a judge has denied a divorce, please let me know, because it does not happen. In fact, one judge, Judge Brett Hall of the 382nd District Court in Rockwall, Texas, said that he had to grant a divorce no matter what, because that's the law. And I said, well, actually, that's not what the Texas Family Code says. He argued with me, said I was wrong, and actually, he's wrong. The Texas Family Code says the judge may grant a divorce. And this has been, I've talked with old lawyers about this and other people, and the judge does not have to grant the divorce. However, the fact of the matter remains, 100% of the time, no exceptions, the judge does grant the divorce. That's just the way that it goes. So parental equality needs to take place not just after the divorce. Parental equality needs to take place before a divorce is begun. Because if you have one person who actually files for divorce, who claims divorce, who asserts that the marriage is irreconcilable, irretrievable, and stuff like that, that person is treated differently. There is an unequal way that these two parents are being treated. They're similarly situated, except that one person is actually petitioning for a divorce, and the other person is responding to the petition. So the petitioner and the respondent, the petitioner will always win. It doesn't make a difference whether the petitioner is a male or a female, a mother or a father, whatever it makes, husband or wife, whatever it is, the petitioner always wins without exception. So if we're going to talk about parental equality, we must talk about parental equality in the court prior to divorce. This should not just be this idea that, well, now that we've gotten a divorce, we need to have parental equality. No, parental equality takes place from the beginning. And that's where the people that say, well, we're for parental equality, when they don't talk about the issue of no-fault divorce, in my opinion, they're being weak and they're being inconsistent. They're saying, I've gone through a divorce, now I want parental equality. Maybe I was the one who responded to the divorce and I didn't want it. Maybe I was the one who initiated the divorce against my wife or my husband who didn't want it. Parental equality needs to be stated all the way through. That's what the judges need to do. So there should not be a predetermined outcome. In the state of Texas, when you file for no-fault divorce, for what we call no-fault divorce, for insupportability, there is a predetermined outcome. There will be a divorce. There is nothing that the respondent can do. Absolutely nothing. And at the same time, the respondent will lose half or maybe more, maybe a little bit less of everything that he or she owes. That respondent may have to pay child support for a divorce that he or she did not want. The child may be consigned to become a visitor in the child's life, maybe 25% of the time, maybe 30% of the time. The courts are abusive, the laws are abusive, the judges are abusive, and equality does not exist in the divorce court. Right away, it is inequality. Because again, the inequality is that the petitioner always wins without exception. The respondent always loses. Equality does not exist. So this is the weakness of the Americans for Parental Equality movement, is that they want parental equality after divorce, not parental equality prior to the divorce. You are being inconsistent about this idea of parental equality if parental equality does not take place prior to a divorce being initiated. Now, I will also say this, however, if we even grant the legitimacy of no-fault divorce, the only outcome should be 50-50. Because if there's no fault, why should anybody be punished? Why should one person lose more of his or her time with the children, and why should one person gain more of his or her time with the children? The one person should not be forced to pay because another person forced divorce, and one person should not lose time with the children because as the respondent, he or she is in a defensive position and they say no fault, but then they try to make the parent look like he or she is faulty. It's completely inconsistent. So the idea of parental equality, if it does not exist prior to a divorce taking place, the whole thing is a farce. If you were forcefully divorced against your will, I think you are the victim. I think that a person who abandons the marital estate should not get to plunder the marital estate on the way out, and also should not be able to leave the door wide open so that attorneys can plunder the marital estate, so that the Attorney General can lay orders to grab more of the marital estate afterwards or future income, and that these judges who make orders that say you can't see your children except on such and such a days, that should never even take place. So I'm all for Americans for parental equality, but my position, I believe, is much more consistent if you say that if you really, truly believe in Americans for parental equality, you must go back to everything that takes place prior to divorce. Both parents should be on equal footing. A petitioner should not be given preference over a respondent. A petitioner should not know that I have a predetermined outcome. I will win regardless. The whole thing is a lawsuit, and the attorneys that represent you, they are actually representing you in a sham lawsuit. And I will also say at the same time, the state of Texas is perpetrating a fraudulent lawsuit upon the respondent. The person claims that I want divorced for insupportability, and I'm going to have a lawsuit against you. What did I do? Did I commit a crime? I mean, it's not like I committed a crime and I stole something. It's not like that I beat somebody up or whatever. If it's no-fault divorce, there's no fault. This is a contract, a covenant for many people between the two of them. And if it's a covenant, it's between the two of them and their God. And the state comes in and thinks that somehow it can destroy everything in a lawsuit. And if you look at a divorce decree, what it says at the beginning is you have been sued. So why are you being sued? If you're being sued because of insupportability, the insupportability lies with the other person, not with you. And that person has the duty, the responsibility to prove insupportability. You just can't say, well, you know, insupportable, it's insupportable. And the judge says, oh, if she says it's insupportable, it's insupportable. Actually, that's what happens in Texas, but that completely means that there is a predetermined outcome. There is no due process. And as I saw recently what was argued up in Nebraska before the Supreme Court, the attorney who argued in the case about repealing no-fault divorce because it is unconstitutional mentioned something that was very interesting. With Obergefell, the decision back in 2015, it was revealed that in the state of marriage, you have about 1,000 federal benefits that apply to you. So if you are being forcefully divorced against your will, you are losing access to these benefits. If you had these benefits prior to that, you should not be deprived of that. You can't be deprived of rights. You can't be deprived of property. You can't be deprived of your freedom only with due process. And this is why the issue of no-fault divorce, unilateral forced divorce, is a big, big issue in the state of Texas. I can be for parental equality, 100%, and I can be for the repeal of unilateral no-fault divorce, 100%. In fact, my argument would be this, that my embracing of parental equality is actually a better position than those who believe in parental equality only after the divorce. So a person should not be able to force divorce and then say, well, I'm at fault for the divorce. I've left my family. I've abandoned my family. I've forsaken my family. I've left my wife. I've left my husband. And now I get 50% or more of everything. That actually goes against justice. And again, for this one individual who would like me, who is upset with the fact that I am for 100-100, that is a political answer, I would invite him, if he would like to debate me publicly, so that we can maybe have this discussion, this debate. I think it's an important debate that we need to have. I would love to have it. And once again, I do support parental equality, but I support parental equality all the way. Parents should be on equal footing. And by the way, once again, when it comes down to the children, most people would say that the best interest of the child would be to be raised in an intact family with his or her natural mother and father, period. That's it. There may be a few exceptions otherwise, but that is my definition for the best interest of the child. And we also hope to, at the same time, that that child is supported by a society that believes in the value of family integrity and of marriage, and also by strong extended family that support and that love the child. And that family is not just mother, father, son, daughter. Family is more encompassing than that. There is extended family involved. That is a better definition of family. That was the historical definition of family. We should have parental equality, but not just part of the time, all of the time. And that is the issue that some of the leaders that talk about parental equality still have to come face to face with and grapple with, in my opinion. Again, I would love to, many of the people actually do have that same opinion. For those who don't, I would love to be able to have a public discussion with you about the issue, because I think this is one area that we could come together on. If you say that you're for parental equality, but you are for forced divorce, no-fault divorce, divorce on demand, unilateral divorce, I think that your position is inconsistent. If I were a legislator, I would have a hard time wanting to support your bill because of the issue that you only want parental equality post-divorce. I thought it was very interesting back in July when we testified in Houston. One of the perceptive people asked, what about the issue of no-fault divorce? She nailed it. She understood that if you have no-fault divorce, which is really forced divorce, divorced on demand, divorce for any reason, for no reason, divorce against a person's will, there is an inequality, there is an injustice that takes place before the law. So for my friends at Americans for Parental Equality and those who embrace the whole idea of parental equality, I also encourage you and invite you to support us as we seek to repeal the laws that right now permit and encourage and facilitate unilateral no-fault divorce. The laws that actually permit divorce on demand. The laws that actually deprive a respondent who does not want to be separated from his or her family, deprive him or her of due process, of equal protection, deprive him or her of protection under the U.S. Constitution and the state constitution. There's also a section in the Texas Constitution, Article 3, Section 56.13, which forbids the legislature, prohibits a legislature from creating a special law granting divorce. Unilateral no-fault divorce, insupportability, 6.001 of the Texas Family Code, parades itself as one thing. It is really a special law that has been written by the legislature against what they are allowed to do in the state of Texas. I would encourage you to join me to seek to get that repealed. Then we can talk about true equality, true parental equality from prior to a divorce to after a divorce. That's the only way that is consistent in my mind. Once again, if any of the leaders feel otherwise and would like to have a public discussion about that, I'd be glad to partake in that. Thanks so much. Bye.